What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Dev Talks with your host Travian with another episode. As you see, still rocking. I rocked the hoodie last week. This is the shirt, so I got some variation to the merch now and things, and we can actually see it. Move the camera a little bit, so more visibility and stuff like that. Get all my reactions, my hand reactions and things, because I do a lot with my hands. I talk a lot with my hands and stuff, and it helps out with the thumbnails, I guess. But welcome back to another episode of Dev Talks. We talk about everything engineering and technology wise. I'm Travian, your host, and everything. We come here every week and just talk about all the latest updates in tech and engineering world. So we're just gonna keep grinding this out as time goes on and just keep doing what we can do to the best of our ability. So this week we have a banker. Just tune in, and then we're gonna see what's new out there. We got a lot of opinions and a lot of stuff that recently was announced. So I can't wait. I'm excited to dive in with you all. So let's just get to it. All right, and we're back. So I'm gonna try to make these intros way shorter to the videos. So that's something that we're gonna practice on, and it might make the episodes a little bit shorter, but that's fine. They're already like an hour long, and when I chop up the videos, it just makes it better for viewers to watch the smaller cuts. So that's what we're gonna really work on. So right here, the first thing we have to talk about is OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's just always in the news about something. He's always getting in something. And we know this chip deal with him was going to be so big when he tried to start this new project and this new startup and things. And now there's some news about how much he's seeking for it. And this is why AMD and NVIDIA is going to be big. If he's seeking this for his own business, imagine how much money's out there for the other chip companies that are going to be coming around. So before we dive into this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Appreciate it all for the algorithm. Thank you guys very much, and let's see what they got to say.
Openai CEO Sam Altman now turning to chips, reportedly looking to raise an eye-popping $5 to $7 trillion for a new venture that would boast the world's biggest chip building capacity. That's the focus of today's Tech Check segment with our Deirdre Bosa. What else do we know here, Deirdre?
Let me first just say that everything about this is just mind-boggling and huge in terms of ambition, scale, investment. This is like the moonshot of all moonshots, and here I'm going to use Google's definition. Something that sounds undoable, but if done, could redefine humanity. That is what Sam Altman is apparently working on here, which also means that this should all be taken with some amount of skepticism. A lot would have to fall into place. So let's just start with the number. According to the Journal, this could require up to $7 trillion. That is
so $5 to $7 trillion is insane. The other episodes, we started really getting into how much these companies are really worth and how much money they're bringing in off of certain projects and stuff like that. But this is insane. Like, we haven't hit a number yet in this podcast, especially this year, reviewing numbers in the trillions. The trillions. This is insane. This is crazy. It's unbelievable. I almost can't believe this. Like, and you can see the statistics here. They're about to die in here. They're expecting the size of chip sales to probably 7x, which is probably true. I can agree with that. But not only for you, sir. This is going to be for NVIDIA. This is going to be for AMD. Two companies that we've been reviewing a lot recently. Definitely AMD. AMD's been doing numbers this year already. And he thinks he's going to get 7 trillion? If he does, I'll be surprised. And like, even you can see it here. They say it's more than Apple and Microsoft's market cap together. And guess who's a majority investor in OpenAI? Microsoft. So they asking for money, and it's a quarter of the United States GDP. That's how much money he's talking about for this whole vision as far as this chips. And it's mainly for his startup alone, I'm assuming. I don't know if he means chip. We're going to listen more. I don't recall if it said just for his startup thing, but it says for new AI chip projects. So I'm assuming it's for his startup alone. $7 trillion. Does that mean that NVIDIA and AMD, they bigger? They already more popular and stuff like that. Does that mean they need 10 trillion? I'm just really curious how that's gonna work out because this is a lot of money to really deal with, and it's really shocking and surprising. Just such a large number was thrown out there, and when you see their majority owner Microsoft there helping investor, and it's way more than that evaluation. You can only speculate how much the industry is going to change in the next 7 years, 6 years. Yeah, 6 years, 2030. So let's keep seeing.
7 times the expected size of chip sales in 2030, more than 5 years away. It's more than the combined market caps of Apple and Microsoft. It is 7 million millions, and here it is written out 12 zeros if you are counting. We had to make it big. Now, the project itself is aimed at reshaping the world's chip building capacity. No small feat. Altman is going after one of the most complex, expensive, and geopolitically sensitive industries in the world. And it is a project that would create an equally complex partnership between Openai, chip makers, investors, power providers, and governments. Now, the most interesting...
Wait, I thought... What is Vanex semi? What is this? I'm confused why they're showing them because this is where we look stuff up, guys. Because I don't know everything in the world. And relationship. Is that their company's privately traded numbers? I spelled it wrong. This is an ETF. This ain't an ETF. Numbers are a little bit off. But kind of similar. Yeah, that's where it peaked and now it's going down some. Yeah. What? I never even knew what this company was. Or this is crazy. What is... I want more information on the actual company. That's what I want. I want information on the company itself because this is wild. I was confused because I thought OpenAI was privately traded company, and I thought they were privately traded, and so I am going to actually look into them more because Nvidia and them, they have their own stock stuff. And I thought the company that he was starting was a startup. So I don't know if they're showing this company. I don't think he has a relationship with this company. I think they're showing this company to show what and to dramatize his ask for AI chips. I think they're showing this, and we're going to go into more about AI chips later. I think they're showing this to dramatize what his ask really is. As you see, this says 1 year growth. I just want you to see something. This is year to date, 15%. So from him releasing this news and stuff, there wasn't nothing that was like too crazy of a jump, but they want to show big numbers on the screen. So this is the big numbers that they're trying to show people to show the amount of growth that's been going on for a certain company. So that's what I think they're showing this for. I don't think they're showing this for any specific reasons and things because OpenAI is private and the startup is only beginning, so there's no way it's on a New York Stock Exchange and no way it's private already because he just started that venture at the end of last year. So yeah, this is definitely just like another probably like manufacturing place or whatever. I don't know who they are just yet. So I'm going to look more into that. I didn't see this video prior. So I'm definitely going to look into more of what this company is and to try to confirm if that's the reason why they pulled this up.
Investors, power providers, and governments. Now, the most interesting is perhaps the why. OpenAI and Altman, they're on a quest to develop AGI, or artificial general intelligence, which OpenAI defines as systems that are broadly smarter than humans and therefore have the ability to teach itself, thereby creating new, even potentially smarter AGIs. That will require vast amounts of chips, already in short supply as the generative AI cycle gets more underway. So far, of course, Microsoft has been funding OpenAI's development to the tune of about $13 billion. That is potentially just a tiny, tiny drop in the bucket. $7 trillion would require capital from even bigger sources than the mega caps, like sovereign wealth funds in the Middle East, with trillions of dollars in assets. And that raises one of many, many questions, guys. If semiconductors are an issue of national security, which we know they are, would you let Abu Dhabi, Middle Eastern nation states, get a foothold? Other questions like the development of chips, something that is clearly very, very difficult to do. Everyone's been trying to create a GPU to rival that of NVIDIA's, and it's been tough going. Can Altman do it, even if he has the support of TSMC and others?
That is insane. I have to say, like, literally that video portion is literally insane because, like, if you think about it, like, $13 billion is a ton of money. It's so much money and they're talking about that's just a little drop in a pond. And it's kind of curious because a few weeks ago we even talked about with Palantir's interview, CEO interview or COO interview. What was his name again? He was talking about like using this stuff for like defense and things like that. But now she's bringing up possible harms of what it could do if certain investors can do input money in because he's doing such a large ask, and I actually think that valuation will be true in the future. I just don't think there's enough money out there. Well, there's probably enough money out there, but how quickly it is going to be for him to get that money? Can he do it in 7 years time? Like Amazon's already, I mean, not Amazon, Microsoft has already given them 13 billion year to date. Since last year, it hasn't even been a full year yet, I believe, from their first initial investment. They've given them $13 billion to help them out. And I just find it insane the amount of money they're talking about for this whole AI business and how much it's changing all these companies and growing from there. I really find it so insane how crazily quick it's growing and stuff. So that's amazing. And speaking of AI, OpenAI just came out with some crazy news. Sora is literally next level stuff and is going to be taking people's jobs. And there's some other stuff I want to talk about, but I'm going to wait until I seen it. I seen this video before, and there's a bunch of other examples of Sora being used. But let's just dive into this real quick. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for the algorithm and stuff. But let's see what they have to say about this news because it's been crazy so far.
Beautiful drone shot. The kind of video that you might see in a travel video, right? Except it's not real. There is no drone. There is no camera. You can't travel because the video was generated by AI. It's from a new tool just announced a few hours ago by Openai called Sora. All it takes is typing in a short text, a prompt, and in minutes it spits out a 60-second video clip of pretty much anything you can imagine. Brian Chung is here to break this all down for us.
Did y'all see that? You got, like, first off, let's go over some of these pictures real quick. One, you have, let's go back a little more. Hold on. Trying to get the exact frame, man. Right here. You could tell, you don't even have to visit places no more. You could tell Sora to, hey, get me a drone shot of Paris or something, or whatever, Italy or things, and it'll get you some fake shot like this. Some fake shot like this. This is what Sora's going to provide you. And then these people ain't even real. Imagine having your real self shown on here. and it was AI that generated you. Imagine if that was you and it generated you. That would be crazy. That's a crazy thought. That really is. But like, look, it makes the place look lively and things like that. This never even exists. This never happened. All this life never
Not
happened.
real.
It's coming.
There is no
It's creating its own new world right here. Hold on. Where's the next thing? So you got the animals and the plants growing and stuff like that. You got what else they show? What are these dolphins, killer whales swimming through a city? If we was flooded, and well, there's another one. Look, this looks like it's out of a video game. Out of a video game, literally out of one. It looks like it's out of one. It like that is almost crazy to really think about. And they said that's only 60 seconds that it can generate right now. The way if they keep progressing to the future, imagine if they can make your new favorite television series in 10 minutes. Imagine they can generate 30-minute series, a 30-minute series, because how ChatGPT works already, it can save prompts from before. So you give it an initial prompt, it starts a pilot, generates a pilot episode. Then off of that pilot episode, you continue and do another episode. I'm telling you, this is what the future is going to be like. They going to show TV shows and movies generated by strictly AI. And they can say, hey, put this character in it. Hey, put this actor in it, probably. Hey, there's going to be a lot of copyright stuff. I'm telling you, unless the actor's getting paid for their likeliness to do that. But it's going to be less work for everybody. What are you going to do when there's less work available? And I bet you, if Sora leads the way and forget just a minute, they can make 15-minute TV cartoons or something like that. As soon as that does that, that show's gonna be popular just because of how it was generated, and they know how it was generated. I'm calling it right now. I'm calling it right now. Look out for the movie and film industry. They're in trouble.
this all down for us. This is cool, Brian. I mean, yeah, it could mean millions of people, though, could be out of work, right? Because who did all this video, and what kind of an impact might it have on the jobs market?
Yeah, I mean, it's really mind-blowing. Some other video that we saw was of a woolly mammoth in a tundra. We also saw a little monster lighting up a candle, and none of it was done by any animators. All you have to do is enter in a text prompt, you hit generate, and it creates what you see in front of you. Again, nothing was shot in this case. It's all AI generated. And obviously, this is of concern in Hollywood, where you have animators, illustrators, visual effects workers who are wondering, how is this going to affect my job? And we have estimates from trade organizations and unions that have tried to project the impact of AI. 21% of U.S. film, TV, and animation jobs predicted to be partially or...
That's almost a quarter of them. That's a fifth. That's a little over a fifth of their industry is going to be gone in 2 years. They expecting. And by 2030, it's going to be probably half. I'm telling you. If I didn't even watch this news part. I just saw the videos before, the generative AI videos. I only seen those. I never even seen this, and it's crazy they're talking about the film industry because I saw this and I thought about that first. So what do you think all these other people were thinking when they saw this? They're like, oh my gosh, I'm out of a job. I can't animate no more. And what is this going to do for even developers and things? I feel like this is going to make a lot of creators' jobs easier. People who like to bring stuff to life easier and cheaper. And that's the future we're going in. And it's crazy because you're not going to be able to do as much as you wanted to because you're going to have tools like this to your disposal. I don't even know what the right word to even say to describe that. Like, it feels disheartening at times when you see a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. Every week we've been talking about ways on people losing their jobs or people getting laid off and a bunch of different situations like that. But like, I can't imagine being that actual person in that position. Like, you're watching in real time your job about to be gone, wiped out. And software engineers, don't think you cool. We got some videos planned next week and probably on the personal channel of some AI versus software engineer stuff that might be going on that may be hurtful. So let's keep this in mind and let's be thoughtful about it.
Wholly replaced by generative AI by just 2026, Tom. So this is already happening. And I have to also point out this tech is from the makers of ChatGPT. So very much a big technological jump for that company.
Yeah, but scary. I mean, Brian, what if I typed in right now, I want Brian Chung to tell me about the stock markets, and then I want him to walk down the street and buy a Starbucks?
You wouldn't need
could
me.
It do that?
It might, and you wouldn't need to do me. But here's the thing. There are some things inside the announcement today that came from OpenAI with regards to the way that they would protect you, for example, using my likeness. So usage policies that they already have in place, the company says, will reject violent or hateful images, sexual content, celebrity likenesses, IP of others. They also say that they're engaging policymakers, educators, and artists as they develop and test this technology, which, by the way, OpenAI tells me they don't plan on releasing to the public anytime soon. But regardless, even if they say that, what we've seen is that in practice, it's hard to stop. The issues with the deepfake porn, for example, with Taylor Swift's likeness, just illustrates how difficult it is to police these things. With video, it's very much an issue.
Yeah, and you got to worry about.
And that is another problem. As we continue to grow as society in this technologically advanced world, and that reminds me of something else. One, we are advancing way too quickly in technology than we are in infrastructure and social norms in society. We're developing way too quickly in that space compared to the other spaces. It's mind-boggling how this is what it's come to. This is what we're dealing with, and all of that news. But as I said, like, there's dangers with all of this stuff. The last video we just covered, they said developing these chips and getting this advancement. Do you want people from the Middle East and whatever investing in Sam Altman's chip business and things, and have that possible control over them? And then here they're talking about deep fakes, about people's likeliness, because it can cause harm to people's images and stuff like that. Like at some point, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, that's fake," because somebody's gonna have some copy of this that is very harmful and that is not good for people's use and things like that. It can be very hurtful and things. I heard about the stuff about Taylor Swift. There's other people saying stuff about them. So, hey, man, it's definitely something that we're gonna have to look out for, and that can be troublesome because they need to have these policies in effect, and they really need to figure a way how to be more secure to protect the users and even the people who don't even use it, to protect everyone in general.
The impact on elections. We're already seeing AI used in fake election campaigns. You got to worry if it's going to get this sophisticated. You can't tell the difference. Where is this headed? I got 10 seconds for you.
Yeah, and that's the thing where they're trying to consult, again, policymakers and industry groups. But what that yields in the long run, it remains to be seen. But again, not yet released to the public. But at some point, it very much could be very prevalent in the entertainment industry and beyond, Tom.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking.
Yeah, so they're even worried about stuff with the election. There's a lot going on with the election right now, and all that troubleness between that and what possible outcomes can come from, or possible issues and outcomes can be released from that kind of instance. There's a lot. It's a lot to really worry from. And get to know. But yeah, it's just stuff is tough, man. Things are tough. Things are tough to even think about. I don't know. This is just what we're changing and world's changing. Like, it's exciting, but you have to think about like the good and bad of everything. You have to outweigh the goods. You have to weigh the bads. You have to figure out how you can bring everything together so that it can work the right way, the more proper way, and stuff. Like, that's just the world that we're going towards. And one of the things that I'm really hoping for is that it goes in the right way, because this stuff really excites me as an engineer. As a software engineer, it excites me. It's things that I find awesome. things that I would love to be a part of if I ever was a part of it, and more reason why I want to learn about these things, and then also be able to think about these challenges and stuff. Because if other people are worried about this, and there's past examples of this, if I ever want to develop certain stuff, I can think of things like this in advance because I've seen the history and the track record behind developments around it. And speaking of more developments, we have a hater again. So Mark Zuck, Zuck is a funny guy, yo. Zuck is always coming at somebody. When Elon, when he started Threads, he was talking about, oh, let's get in the ring with Elon. Somebody I saw in one of these comments in one of these videos. We're about to look over some videos, things, because Mark has some things to say. He said Quest 3 is better than any Apple product, mainly the Vision Pro. He was coming at the Vision Pro but the thing is, I don't know if Zuck understands the Vision Pro, what it's going to be used for is way different what the Quest is used for. Quest is more gaming. This is more productivity tool, more comfort tool. So this is just a tool to like do certain other things. How I envision the use of the Vision Pro is way different than the use of the Quest. And that's just my personal experience and what I think it's going to be. But that's just my thoughts right off the bat. But Zuck had some stuff to say, of course, about a rival company. So we gonna see some of the stuff that he had to say. I didn't really listen to anything that he said. Who has more? So yeah, he was coming back at him. He said, "I don't think that the Quest is the better value. I think the Quest is the better product. Period." So, I don't just think that the Quest is better value. So he probably says it in this video real quick.
All right, guys. So I finally tried Apple's Vision Pro. And, I have to say that before this, I expected that Quest would be the better value for most people since it's really good and it's like 7 times less expensive. But after using it, I don't just think that Quest is the better value. I think that Quest is the better product, period. And, the different companies made different design decisions for the headsets. They have different strengths. But overall, Quest is better for the vast majority of things that people use mixed reality for. Now, my friend Kenny is actually capturing this video on Quest's high-resolution mixed reality pass-through right now. We're just here in my living room, and you can see his browser windows and whatever else he's got running up here. So yeah, Quest 3 does high-quality pass-through with big screens, just like Vision Pro. But we also designed it to be great for a lot of other things, moving around, playing games, hanging out with friends and socializing, working out, and more. Quest, I think is just a lot more comfortable. We designed it to weigh 120 grams less, which makes a really big difference on your face. There's no wires that get in the way when you move around. It's a big deal. Our field of view is wider, and I found our screen to be brighter also. I also noticed that Apple's headset has this motion blur as you move around, which Quest is just a lot crisper. Now, Apple's screen does have a higher resolution, and that's really nice. But I was surprised by how many trade-offs they had to make to the quality of the device and the comfort and ergonomics and other aspects of the display and artifacts in order to get to that. Now, for input, Quest supports precision controllers that are great for games. Both headsets support hand tracking, but I found ours to be a little more accurate. Apple's eye tracking is really nice. We actually had those sensors back in Quest Pro. We took them out for Quest 3, and we're going to bring them back in the future. It's a nice interface. It's not perfect for everything, though. For typing or complex tasks, you're going to want things like hands or a keyboard or controllers or eventually a neural interface for those kind of inputs. Quest's immersive content library is a lot deeper. We've been working with studios building virtual and mixed reality games and other content for a long time now. And if you want to watch YouTube or play Xbox on a big screen anywhere you go, that's only available on Quest for now. So, when I look around, it seems like there are a lot of people who just assumed that Vision Pro would be higher quality because it's Apple and it costs $3,000 more. But, honestly, I'm pretty surprised that Quest is so much better for the vast majority of things that people use these headsets for with that price differential. Now, look, I know that, some...
So he said a lot of great points right there. Like, he really articulated his thoughts really appropriately and stuff. I can only go based off what he said. I don't have a Vision Pro right now. I don't have a Quest 3 right now and stuff. But when he says, I think the Quest is a better value product, but and a not only better value, but a better product, as of right now, I can agree that that is true. And I say that's true because one, it's $3,000 less, and it's able to do more currently. Currently, there's all the app developers and stuff like that haven't gotten everything done for the Vision Pro. They haven't gotten to the fullest ability of how to get all this work done for it and all this other nonsense. Like, there's not a lot of applications yet for the Vision Pro, of course. But another reason that I would say that this is the case is because Meta's been working on the Quest for so long, so much longer. They're on the Quest 3. As he said, he had the Quest Pro, and then they're also thinking about stuff for the future still right now. But the Apple Vision Pro is this is their first headset, Apple's first headset. And I really think in the new generations, it's going to become a lot better. But what do we also know about Apple? They always come to the game late. They always come to the game late. That's just what they do. They always show up late to stuff on their phones. The Samsung phones do certain things before the Apple phones ever do. They're never going to be the front runner on something that already exists, but they do have a market for people and a certain type of clientele, and they continue to sell their stuff the way they do. They're not changing it for anyone. But also, I thought there was better. There's other reasons for having a Vision Pro than having a Quest. But Zuck, when he's showing what the Quest can do right now, and it's one mode that he's talking about, it looks pretty clean. It looks nice. You can do a lot of different stuff. Of course, you can use YouTube with it, and things. It's great that you can do that. Apple, I think they incorporated Apple TV in their headset and stuff. So, of course, there's more you can do right now. The code base and making applications and doing the developments for Apple's Vision Pro just hasn't been out long enough. Their hand tracking stuff, they have their own things regarding that. They have their own vision on doing things. They don't want people to use controllers too much. I'm sure you can get controller integration. They have laptop to Vision Pro integration that they said they're having in, and even Apple TV to Vision Pro and different things like that. I'll sure it even come for your phones. I bet you'll be able to use your phone as a controller one day on the Vision Pro when you're playing a game and whatnot. So I think all of that stuff is going to happen. But a lot of stuff he said is like impressive. I would agree with him at the current state where the headsets are at. He is completely right. In the future, that may change. Apple may get closer as stuff continues to come out of development, as generations continue to advance. But they're all things that they have to work on. At least he talked about what they're better than him in. They have better resolution. So he knows they have stuff to work on, of course. But this is just the first state. I can't blame Apple too much. The only thing that really bothers me most about the Apple headset is how costly it is. Mind you, our phones are already at over $1,000 on their own. So you would think it would be somewhere around that portion. But Quest is only under 1,000, I believe. Quests are $500. So for 128 gigabytes. And just want to look at, yeah, you can get way more storage on the Vision Pro already. There's not enough stuff to use all that storage, I believe, already for the Vision Pro, but it's gonna grow. It's gonna have time to be able to grow and get better, I think. And of course, it's trying to take me to Instagram. I just want to play the video again.
Tried Apple's Vision Pro, and I have to say that before this,
Of course, it doesn't want to play in the way it came from. But for the most part, I agree with everything that he was saying. I wish I could like skip through this. I can't skip.
Finally try.
But for those points that he made there, I definitely do agree on. And there's also more news about this. So let's see what their take is. We heard from Zuck themselves. We had a little bit of my input. So now the news and Bloomberg and stuff like that, they have their own take as far as what Zuck had to say. A lot of people have been making videos about what Zuck had to say. So I'm very curious about it, and we're going to just see and find out.
What a video. Interesting analysis from their side of the technological divide. What was said?
Yeah, you know, Zuckerberg went right at the Vision Pro. He talked about field of view. He talked about comfort. He talked about pass-through quality. He talked about the resolution of the displays. He implied that the Vision Pro, as we've discussed before, is an over-engineered product where they've put these extremely high-resolution panels into the product, bringing up the price. But what are the use cases for that? And so I think he made a few salient points. I think he did something that he had to do. I think his review that he posted on Instagram is really going to drum up sales of the Meta Quest. I think this is going to help sell his product. But that's the positive. On the other side, I think a few years' time, remember the Vision Pro is a first generation product. In a few years' time, I think Apple's going to figure some stuff out. I think the price is probably going to come down a little bit. The comfort is going to improve. Yeah. The use cases are going to improve. The App Store will finally include some interesting apps. And at that point, people will be going back and playing the Zuckerberg video, and it won't look so great.
And that's exactly what I said. The ending that he just said, I said the App Store, the applications, they're not up there yet, so they're going to raise. Oh, I've seen an interesting video. Watching it though. I might save that video for later, for another case. But I literally was just saying that their App Store is not there yet. It's the first generation. Zuckerberg's had way more generations to deal with having a headset that Apple has not had yet. And this new generation is just, right now it's discomforting. I've been talking about discomforting stuff about the Vision Pro before it was even released out there. Of course, their product's lighter and things. There's a lot that Apple is going to figure out. And he said it there. He took the words out my mouth, bar for bar, word for word. He took the words out my mouth because I said it prior. And yeah, the field of view is not probably the best and the greatest and stuff, but you need to go through these trials and tribulations to be able to figure out what is really the best, what's going to work, and how we're going to be able to move forward, because Zuck's going to be sitting there like, dang, they kind of caught up once when they get to that point. Apple is just making a more luxury version of the Meta Quest 3 eventually. I believe that's the path that they're going on, this path that I see it all going. So but yeah, let's definitely see. Now we have more news on Apple. So Apple they just had their beef with Meta. Now they have some stuff to rival Microsoft and things. Microsoft has a Copilot that's I believe it's ran by Openai as well too. They use some of the same technologies and things like that due to their investment in Openai. Apple has been talking about AI stuff for their iOS and their Siri and things. So we're going to dive into some news about that because apparently some news came out about their tool. I want to learn some new information. So before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and do all that for the algorithm. I really appreciate it. And let's dive in.
Just talk us through, we'd all been waiting with bated breath as to ultimately how Apple adopts AI.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So 2024, it's the year of AI for Apple, generative AI and large language models to be specific. The company is working on several new artificial intelligence initiatives to run on both the iPhone and the Mac. And one of the most important things is setting your sort of infrastructure and foundation to integrate AI into your products. And the most core thing you can do is add artificial intelligence to your programming tools. That's Xcode. That's the software used by developers inside Apple and outside Apple. So they'll be adding AI to that.
I'm really interested, Mark, on the pressure that Craig Federighi is under, because if you read the detail in your story, which is terrific, by the way, you know, the boards.
So basically, yeah, I guess it makes sense. So they're talking about Microsoft's GitHub Copilot, which is only a small portion of Microsoft's actual AI system, Copilot. As we just saw the Super Bowl commercial for Copilot last week, and I will be dropping a clip of that next week. But after this video drops, because that's just, our videos are pushed back. We've created so much content. We have a lot of videos to go over and stuff. So look forward to some of those videos. I have some reactions to some of those commercials and things. But GitHub Copilot, it's only a small portion of Microsoft's actual Copilot in general. So Apple was only focusing right now, it seems, just to be on the Xcode part to help their engineers and help everybody code a lot better. That's something that I definitely know that I need to learn how to use more to my advantage so that I'm able to be more efficient and become a better developer and possibly even learn more. There's stuff out there that if it's correct and if it's used correctly, then that's definitely a potential thing. But I want to know more news about the all the AI tools that Copilot has now for society and everyday uses and stuff, not just for engineers. What are their use cases that Apple's thinking about for everyday use cases and things? Because in that commercial that we went over, they had stuff for different types of business people, for artists, for a bunch of different kinds of people that Copilot was going to service. This is only servicing engineers like me, software engineers like me. So far, that it seems that they're focusing on, and maybe they focused on this so that they can advance their other use cases a lot more quicker. That is a possibility. So people can, they said for the Mac and stuff, so people, and guess what you code on the Mac? Oh, you on Xcode, you code Vision Pro apps. So we just go look at a video, post a video before this one, most likely. Just reviewed. If you're watching this whole video straight through, we literally just reviewed Muck's review of the Vision Pro, and we were talking about how the Vision Pro doesn't have enough apps on there. You get this AI tool now, it's easier for developers to create and chunk out apps now because you have all the training and stuff there. You're training your stuff already on your whole code base and how stuff is supposed to work, and this is where it's going to go. So that's very crazy that they're really thinking about that. Gosh. And was not expecting that sneeze, but we literally just went over all that stuff, and that can be what they're potentially thinking. Hey, we don't have enough applications out for our developers and things, in-house and out-of-house. So what are we going to do? We're going to give them a tool to help them work a lot more efficiently and better. And I actually really like that. I agree with it. And I actually think that's way awesome. That they're really doing that, but let's just hear more about what they have to say because we're only halfway through this. Maybe there's more information besides just the Xcode tools.
Was given a demo of the latest in AI at the end of last year, and they've almost reorged. They basically said, you three key personnel, give us the product.
Yeah, Craig Federighi, he's Apple's Senior Vice President of Software Engineering. He's really taken the bull by the horn here. He's a huge proponent of LLMs and generative AI. When ChatGPT started to hit the market a couple of years ago, he was the one really pushing and investigating, is Apple going to miss out on this technology? Does Apple need to integrate this technology? And so Federighi, along with Apple's cloud services organization, as well as the artificial intelligence organization, right, run by Eddie Q and John Gianandrea specifically, those three groups have been working together on these Gen AI initiatives with Federighi implementing it into iOS. The Gen AI, the underlying technology is obviously developed by Apple's AI group, but it's Federighi who's consumerizing that technology, and they plan to release that as part of iOS 18 this year, which I expect to be one of the biggest updates, if not the most significant update in the 16-year history of the iPhone.
That's a big hot take. Look, I said I want to talk about hot takes in these videos and stuff eventually. That's a major hot take. He said this is going to be the most advanced thing for iOS in the 16 years of its history. That's a real big hot take. But the only way I say that's going to be the case is if they go beyond the engineering. Yeah, they go beyond the engineering route. Mind you, iOS is different for each system. Like iPad has a different iOS kind of configuration and things like that, compatibilities, and iOS for the phones have different ones. The Macs have different iOS versions and things of that accord. So I'm just really looking forward to viewing another event like I did last year. Last year, I just talked about everything and I literally wasn't on camera. This year, we're gonna do this event when they talk about this live again, like how I did the Galaxy event, and hopefully there's more people that are gonna like that. But I can somewhat agree with that. He takes a good I mean, it's a good point. Like I can see it possibly happening. I can see the potential. I can see what can come from Apple's new AI stuff on iOS because they're really the only company that's lacking. They're the only company that's lacking as far as a whole AI interface face so far. Microsoft has Copilot and they have the OpenAI stuff going on. Google has Gemini that's being used through everywhere else. Apple needs something now. What is Apple gonna have? Meta. Meta has one too. I'm blanking. I feel so bad. What is what is the name of their AI? Is it just Meta AI? Llama? I think it's Gem. No, I think it's like GAL or something like that. I believe Meta has one. It's like Galley 3 or whatever. But yeah, Meta already announced all that AI stuff for them on their part. And Apple's the last one that's really hasn't conformed to these new changes yet. So of course they have to wait by their timelines. Their timeline is going to be sometime in the spring, early summer, late spring, middle spring, whenever they normally have their keynote event, and that's when they talk about all their iOS updates. Normally every year, year after year. So I'm expecting big changes, not just to help developers. I'm expecting changes that are going to help ordinary people, business people, and things like that. How is Siri going to become better? These are all things that I'm expecting to see. So Apple, I'm holding you accountable. You're the last one. Your thing better be nice. If it's trash, I'm telling you, I might be done with the iPhone. This close. This close. But now getting on to the last topic and stuff. NVIDIA earnings will explode some stuff. So NVIDIA, I've been talking about AMD so much. It's not even funny. So I'm gonna be talking about about NVIDIA now. NVIDIA hasn't gotten the shine that it's gotten that AMD has gotten all year long so far. So this is the shine they really get in NVIDIA. That it's the first news that I've seen regarding of it and any updates around it. So before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for the algorithm. I really appreciate it very much. So, but let's just dive in and see what they say.
into all this and bring back in our friend, Fundstrat Managing Partner and Head of Research, Tom Lee. Are we wrong to say that NVIDIA matters to the overall market?
NVIDIA is hugely important. A lot of eyes are on tomorrow, as you said, and it's going to be very telling us about how much firepower still exists in the market. If NVIDIA has a great report and rallies, I think it's going to confirm we're not really at the top of the first half 2024 market top. But there's an equal chance that NVIDIA has a great number and the stock sells off. And I think that's going to tell us perhaps a lot of the buying power is used up. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, here's the thing about NVIDIA, and I'll give my take, and you say, no, Sullivan, you're wrong as usual, which is NVIDIA will probably beat street estimates on EPS and sales. Okay, they do every quarter. It's a measure, I suspect, of obviously the guidance matters a ton, but how much they beat by. This could be a time, Tom, where we see a company blow away estimates and it still not be good enough.
Yes. Anecdotally, I'm finding a lot of our clients thinking the company is going to beat and sell off, which tells me...
Exactly what I just said.
Yes. And that's why I actually think the bigger surprise would be NVIDIA rallies tomorrow, and it shows there's still legs left in the rally of the first half. But that's just an anecdote.
How much matters in the guidance versus the actual quarterly numbers last quarter?
All of it's going to matter. And as you know, because a lot of things have been priced into it, people are going to look for little wrinkles and, blemishes. So a lot is priced in. But, I think if there is a sell-off, I actually think it's going to be viable for the most part.
And you've been bullish. You've been right. You've been out there with there's like a couple of you guys that were on your own island for most of 2023. It's a very lonely place, by the way.
Yeah.
But you survived, like Tom Hanks. You had a volleyball as a friend, and you've prospered. You still remain bullish for the year.
Yes.
Castaway reference.
Is NVIDIA the biggest risk to the market? Is the Fed the biggest risk to the market? Is the election the biggest risk to the market? We have to factor in the macro stuff. What do you think most about?
I think the Fed's the biggest risk because the market needs to broaden, and it's going to broaden when interest rate cuts start to get priced and investors begin to think about that roadmap.
See, this makes a lot more sense because we just talked about Tesla and their layoffs recently. Mind you, all these companies did layoffs. All of them did. So this is what you have to think of now. Magnificent Seven right here. Tesla misses. Everybody knew they were going to miss. They missed the estimate. They missed revenue. They missed all this stuff. Tesla's just doing terrible right now. They're doing so bad right now. They might have to get dropped off from that Magnificent Seven, become 6. Or include another company up in there. Because all the rest of them, you see, they just beaten. But I think what the problem is, NVIDIA is the last one to share its earnings and stuff. So even if it does beat it, how impressive is it? If all these other companies beat their numbers, how much more impressive is it for them to beat them too? And I think it depends on the margin. So since with all the news going on around NVIDIA and AMD and all this new AI chip manufacturing and stuff, I think people were subconsciously like, hey, we expect you to beat it. You should beat it. But you should beat it by an astronomically amount. And that's not typically fair all the time. This is just the first earnings report. Or it might be the earnings report to last year. I'm still figuring out how all these reportings and things work. And just still learning more about all these companies and things. But I think it's more or less how impressive it is compared to the other companies in this branch, because we already seen how bad it's going for Tesla, and they missed. And if for Tesla to be the only one to miss, it's even worse, and even more sad. So I'm very curious about how much that is. It says on the 21st, which is today. So this came out yesterday. This came out last night. So when this video is done, we're actually going to look at the earnings report and see if they beat the earnings report. And maybe there's some new video on it. So as this plays, I'm gonna try to find that myself. So let's just continue.
And if inflationary pressures don't ease and the Fed starts to sort of second guess that, I think it puts a lot of pressure on stocks.
Is there a not zero chance, or is there a zero chance we get a rate hike this year? People are now starting to talk about that again. Or is that a 0% chance in your mind?
I mean, I think that the probability is low in actuality, but the market could get concerned about it. And if it does, that would put pressure on stocks. And
January is 1 month doth not a trend make, as you know more than anybody. January's numbers were hot. We saw in the early 80s, late 70s, inflation can look like it's whipped and then it comes back up, right? We saw that again. It can be sticky, as they say. If we get more hot inflation data for February, does that hit stocks? Because now the Fed is suddenly back in play again.
I mean, I'd say it's really bad if inflation's hot in February, because how would you convince the bond market and the Fed that inflation's falling? But that would not be our central view. I think there was a lot of one-offs and even, bad seasonality that makes January CPI look hot. I think February CPI could be quite soft, but it's too early still.
Where's the best place to make money in the stock market right now?
Well, I think if someone is saying, where's the best risk reward, I like small caps because their valuations are attractive. Price to book is still 44% of the S&P. That's still the launch point where they were in 99. They're big beneficiaries when the Fed starts cutting. Expectations are low, and actually delivered earnings haven't been bad. So I think it's good risk reward, but, tomorrow...
We've been there before. The valuations you cite have been there, and people have ignored it. And I do wonder, and I'm going to tick off half the audience or more right now, if the Mag 7 sells off, the S&P is probably in trouble because they're so huge, right? But that means people are raising cash. They're selling, they're taking profits, they're raising cash. Could a Mag 7 sell-off be the best thing for the small caps?
In a way, because you're right. Russell 2000 is 8% of the S&P, so it wouldn't take a lot of reallocation into small caps to make a big move. There's still $6 trillion of cash on the sidelines, and margin debt is way below where it was in 2021. So I still think there's a lot of firepower in the sideline.
I think
so. I actually did look up the earning thing, and this is today, but it hasn't updated yet on Google, so no idea how all that's getting managed and helped right now. Need a little bit more light, even though there's so I guess tomorrow I will look at this with the full updating things. As you see, they've been beating constantly, all across the board, especially towards the end of the year. So they're looking for January 2024. This says it's their upcoming earnings call, and it's scheduled for today. So it just possibly just hasn't happened yet. But it is worrisome. And it's crazy that they talk about how influential that all the Magnificent Seven is. They're all tech companies. They're all huge and things like that. They talk about how influential it is because if all of them do bad and everybody sells out of them, a lot of people's finances, especially the S&P 500, goes down a lot. They go down, everything else goes down. Like Tesla is causing a lot of it to not grow as quickly as it should right now because they're missing and going through all the struggles and problems right now. But it is crazy how much one of these companies or a few of these companies can make a difference for everybody's finances and things, especially for how much people have invested in them. So it is very scary. I'm curious about what that earnings report is going to say. I assume it's going to be beat because I haven't heard anything negative as far as I've heard about Tesla. Besides AMD possibly being a top competitor against them right now, but no way it's going to take them out on nothing crazy. But that's pretty much a wrap of this episode. Thank you guys for all tuning in. Appreciate it very, very much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe again. See you guys next week. Be safe. Drop your hot takes in the comments. And you know, peace.